Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast for the week of the 3rd of February 2021. I am your host, Leona, and with me is our full fantastic panel, including Rose.
Hey there.
Including Lambert.
Hello there.
And including Father Loris.
Sup? Hello.
And we have a special guest today, Jay from the EU4 Anbennar mod team.
Hello, everyone.
So before we get into news and stuff, since you're the guest this week, and we'll talk more about the mod later on in the show for our main topic, but why don't you let everyone know who you are, what you do, and how you got into grand strategy?
Hey, so I am Jay, otherwise known as JB or J1001, and I am the creator of the Anbennar EU4 mod, as well as the Anbennar setting, as well as the prequel for Crusader Kings 3 that we're also working on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The whole mod empire.
That's
It's crazy,
exciting.
man. And in terms of grand strategy, the kind of first experience I had was maybe not so much in a grand strategy, but Warcraft 3. If you guys were familiar, people can make their own custom maps and stuff, right? And that's where I got a taste of this kind of thing that's not just an RTS, a thing that's kind of a bit more about politics and economy and stuff like that. And that's probably my first strategy experience. As for Paradox games, I started EU3. So that was my earliest one.
So what's Warhammer 3 maps? Do you?
Oh no, it was Warcraft
maps.
3.
Yeah, Warcraft. Sorry, man.
I actually started modding in Warcraft, and I did this map called Kingdoms and Nations RP. No one really knows about it, but it was essentially kind of like a hybrid between like a roleplay map and a actual working strategy map. And that's
I might have actually played. I played
Don't tell me
I
you
played a
it.
lot of Warcraft 3 custom maps. I remember a couple Kingdom RP maps. I don't know if I played the specific one you made.
Mhm.
But I distinctly remember playing an RP map that was like everybody had their own little castle that were like spread around the map, and you had like an economy, and you could declare war and stuff like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could have been. It's been like 20 years now. But
I was going to say, as soon as you described that, I thought that's right up Leanna's street.
It's possible. It's possible. I spent a lot of time in Warcraft 3 custom maps back in the day, but anyway, we are going to go over some news first, and then we'll get into some more in-depth on Anbennar discussion. The first little bit
Warcraft 3 custom map discussion.
Oh yeah, and also we're going to talk a little bit about Warhammer 3, Total War Warhammer 3, which was announced this week. We're going to do that at the very end, if you guys are interested in that. So the first piece of news is that I figured that figured it would be an enticing topic for a lot of people who watch this. So first big piece of news, Heirs of Alexander and the Marius patch are coming out on the 16th of February, so that's pretty close. I may have heard that we might be getting a look at it fairly soon. Looking forward to that. It's not really any new info that we haven't already discussed on here before, just kind of summarizing everything. So the paid stuff is going to be the unique mission trees. The Wonder Designer, the new events for the Diadochi, the new Hellenic deities, the new treasures, and the new music. Whereas the free patch is going to be levies, legions, military histories, engineers, changes to inventions, the Diadochi War Goal, and the UI overhaul. What's everybody like most excited about? Like, what is the biggest thing that is keeping you from playing Imperator right now because you're looking forward to the patch?
I've been kind of very much susceptible to the paradox, where I'm so excited for what is coming to have any enjoyment for what is right now. I get that for all paradox games. I don't think I've ever had it quite as hard as this, though. Like, the thing... I open Imperator and I'm like, oh, okay, let's give, I don't know, let's do Macedon again for the 100th time. I was like, but where's my legions and levies, and where's my sexy new UI, and where's my legions with lovely military honors? And I'm just I'll close it again. I just want the new patch like now. Just give me now, please.
Yeah, it's one of the other Discords I'm on, someone described it as like it seems like Imperator is finally coming out of beta. Just a little bit harsh. Just a little bit harsh, but I mean
the UI change.
Yeah, the UI is huge. The technology change is huge.
Yeah.
Levies and legions are going to be a huge change. It definitely, I mean, how many times is this game going to just be completely reinvented by a patch is what I'm wondering.
I'm going to call this like the second one, because I'm going to say 1.2 was still like, that was the big one for me.
I'd say 2.5. Yeah. But yeah, because there was 1.2 and then there was, I would need to look at what the actual patch numbers were. But I feel like this is like almost the third time that Imperator has become a completely different game.
I think it's just going to be what is needed. I really hope that people give it another try. It's like there was a Reddit thread about people asking, "Are you going to give Imperator another try with the update?" And there's people asking, "It's like, why would you prefer like Imperator to EU4 right now?" And the way I describe it is, think of both the games like a body, right? The bones of Imperator, in my opinion at least, are like objectively better than the bones of EU4. Like
there's no mana.
The core part, like the essence of the game. Instead of mana, you've got political influence, which I think people can pretty handily say is just objectively better. Instead of development, which is not a good system at all, you've got population, and population is objectively better. You've got characters instead of no characters, which is objectively better.
Lambert,
these are the bones that make up the game.
Lambert, we have Trashmaster in chat summing up what you're saying by just saying that EU4 has severe osteoporosis.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
That just sums it up.
Yeah.
We need
But then
EU5.
when you come to the flesh and the muscles, that's all the flavor. Every different part of the world in EU4 has already been fleshed out with different mechanics, different regional mechanics, which makes playing in that region way different from playing in a different region. Things like Mandate of Heaven and the Holy Roman Empire, all the different religions having their own mechanics. That's like the flesh of the game. So Imperator has got stronger bones. EU4 has got more flesh. But I would say that it's easier to add flesh over time than it is to change your bones. So I'm going to say that Imperator's got more potential.
I've generally found that to be true. Jay, do you play much Imperator, or have you played much Imperator?
So you made a good point, Lambert, because I totally dropped off Imperator when it came out, and it's because it had no, flesh or muscle. It's kind of like Crusader Kings 3 had this issue for me as well, where it had lots of good systems and underlying things, right, that were kind of all working nicely, but there was no flavor. And after I finished a few campaigns, I was done with it because I was like, okay, it's pretty much the same as everything else. So I'm quite happy that they're kind of trying to give it a second chance, adding more content to it. So yeah.
Also, I really would love to see Anbennar in Imperator, is having all of the different cultures be actual like pops. That would be kind of fun. Not gonna lie, would cool to see
pops,
that.
Man, I absolutely love pops. If you guys are familiar, Anbennar had those racial minorities things, and that was kind of
I've been begging the EU4 team to add like religious and ethnic minorities for a long time, but turns out the modders get to it first of a lot of these things. Well, let's talk a little bit about EU4, because we got not a huge dev diary, but a kind of interesting dev diary today. They are changing up how the plutocracy government reform works. So I assume you'll need whichever expansion it was that added government reforms. I can't keep track at this point. to take advantage of this.
Can anyone keep track of them? Because, like, there's so many.
I know some people who can rattle them right off. Like, and I used to be able to do that for Crusader Kings too. Like, I could tell you exactly which features were from which expansions.
Oh, no, it's apparently in the base game now, according to page.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh, there you go then.
And
I don't know. Yeah.
Chat is educating us.
Thank you. Thank you. We will outsource our knowledge to the hive mind as always.
The reason that we struggle with it is because we're the kinds of people who get the DLCs like day 1 or like day -10 sometimes, but like we never play the patch without the DLC. Like that hasn't been the case for me since ages ago now. So I find it very, very difficult to separate what's in a patch versus what's in the DLC that comes alongside it.
I mean,
it's so difficult for me.
That's true across all the PDX games. I remember I loaded up CK2 for a video to show it without any DLC. And the amount of things that I realized were quality of life features that were trapped behind DLC walls, like prisoner management, wasn't in the base game. I would have thought that was a patch. Like,
I remember that video. It seems like they're not doing that as much anymore.
Yes.
It's like bad DLC model. I think we talked about this in the past.
Yeah, like, selling quality of life. Yeah.
Selling quality, but also stuff that's disassociated with the main content of the expansion. Like, you get Mandate of Heaven, you expect loads of stuff about China, but then they might add something completely random as an Mamluk government type or something that's completely disassociated from the main.
Right.
I think Stellaris set the groundwork for that in making quality of life part of the patch.
Yeah.
Because
so what's going to happen? Right. So what's happening with 1.31 is basically plutocratic governments are going to become like merchant republics, basically, where they can have trade posts and trade leagues. They're also going to unlock this draft transports decision, which basically lets you get a bunch of transports really quickly and really cheaply. Depending on your country size, once you get past a certain size, it's not financially efficient anymore. I can definitely think of some starts where this would be useful, where I might be able to afford like 4 transports for my 16 regiments, and I'm trying to land them somewhere that they're not going to get stack wiped before the rest of my army gets there. That'll be good.
I will say, I think that it's a bit silly to lock draft transport ships behind a single government reform. I think it'd be kind of awesome. What nation wouldn't be able to do this? Lock nations.
Yeah, just draft, all those merchant ships that are chilling in port because they can't go out because it's not safe in warfare. Hey, let's go move the troops and then you can get back to business.
Yeah.
Is it locked by reform? I must have misread it the first time. I thought that was everything.
This reform also unlocks something called draft transports.
Oh, I see. Why is Ming able to do it then? Because Ming's got a celestial government. Plutocracy.
That's an interesting question. Maybe
did Ming take plutocracy?
That might be. They might have just used a console command to demonstrate how it's not efficient for a large
plutocracy is a tier 1 government form.
Yeah,
and Celestial Empire is tier 1, so be one or the other.
Huh.
I think maybe they've chosen Ming and just made it possible for them just to show that when you're a big nation, it gonna cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah.
The reform does say allow cheap drafting of transport ships.
Yeah,
it might say it's cheaper if you've got the reform, but everyone can do it.
Or maybe they just added that to the main government type too. Like maybe they added it to some other government types. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Johan made a typo.
Maybe.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened before. So
yeah, I think it means that it's cheap and everyone can do it. That's my bet.
So, Jay, not even just from this dev diary, but as far as everything we've seen about this next patch for EU4, is there anything that you're like really excited about integrating into the mod?
Region seems very interesting because obviously we have all sorts of custom states, like adventurers and stuff. So that might be cool.
Right.
Especially, I know in lots of D&D games, adventuring parties like to get themselves involved in local wars and do stuff.
Oh man, it's like the murder hobo regency. I love it. Yeah.
Exactly.
we took the baby prince hostage. One thing led to another. Kind of got out of hand. We're the government now.
What we did in our first session was organize a coup. We installed a more favorable governor of the town of Fandalin. Then we found this pack of goblins in a place called Cragmore Hideout. And we liberated them and then set them to work cutting trees. So now we make a steady gold income from slave goblin labor. It's great.
Okay.
That's the Adventurers League.
We see what Lambert likes to do.
Look,
I think we all knew that already.
I blame Josh, the Hearts of Iron community ambassador. Blame him. It was his idea, all of it. Guy's supposed to be a lawful that dude. You really should. He's crazy.
Lambert,
his charisma is so high.
Lambert believes that Wassid is the work of the devil. So
well, it is. I'm right. Look, session 1, his character convinced a goblin to fall off a cliff and snap his neck through pure charisma. This is a thing that happened. This guy just convinces people to do crazy shit.
Well, okay. Pretty soon in Stellaris, we're going to be able to convince people to do crazy shit.
Nice segue there. Beautiful.
So if I have a good one, I'll use it. I'm just not going to try to force them if I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is most of the time. Yeah, so provocations are the final piece of the espionage system, I think. Well, maybe not final. There's probably stuff they haven't talked about yet.
The latest.
But these are the operations you can undertake that are dangerous and have the most diplomatic consequences, like sponsoring privateer to attack your enemy. You can lure the Praetorians. Not at all. And especially not with luring the Praetorian to attack them instead. Because why would you fight the endgame crisis when you can just use it against your enemies? Yeah, they've said that the galaxy's not going to react kindly to you doing this, which is probably understandable. Yeah,
it's very expected. I mean, you're turning on the other nations of the galaxy to feed the Praetorian or whatever other horrible crisis is coming upon you. Yeah.
But it'll never come back to bite us because they'll just eat everyone else and then we'll be fine, right? Like that's how it works.
As long as you get eaten first, then we're all good.
Yeah.
You just want to be the last man standing. That's all.
Yeah.
There you go.
You should have to do a villain speech before you do it. I mean, if DJ hosts a multiplayer and someone does this, he'll probably make them give a villain speech.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, it would be interesting to see if like you could do stuff like have a pirate nation like break away from the empire you're targeting, or like inspire rebellions or something. I don't know if they've said anything about that yet, but that would be pretty cool if you could like break off pieces of your enemy empire by arming the rebels and then like making them enemies or something. But,
I mean, surely nothing was wrong with this plan.
Oh god, no.
No, not at all.
One thing I'm really hoping for is that this is a huge this entire espionage system that's coming is a big old buff to Criminal Syndicate.
because they're so shit right now.
Yep.
They're absolutely awful.
Yeah.
No fun to play as. Especially multiplayer, they're no fun.
You're, a pirate corporation and you're just making Praetorian catnip. That's what you're selling to the galaxy.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting play style if you could like hold like a racket where it's like, we will not send the Praetorian at you if you pay us money or something. That would be pretty interesting.
Catnip.
Yeah.
God, now I want to make a pirate corporation that sells Prethnip.
Yeah, they love that stuff. So they just go crazy. Yeah.
Snacks.
But do you know what people in chat I think are going crazy for?
What?
Anbennar.
All right. Well, I think that is all the news this week. So yeah, we will move on to our main discussion, which is going to be the EU4 Anbennar mod, and no better person to introduce us, I don't think, than Father Loris. No.
Something very important to share on it. Father Loris?
You could intro it. It's great.
What is Anbennar to you?
Well, I've played far too much of it. In fact, we were talking about the paradox before, right?
Yeah.
About the fact that you can't, you put off playing a game because you're looking forward to the next update. Anbennar has got this great system where you can basically play beta basically at the moment, can't you? There's an open build available on the Discord where you can play half-made trees with a few bugs in it, I'd like to say, bits and bobs, but it's good. It's like ongoing development with the community. And it's great because you never say, oh, I'm just really excited for the next Steam release. You can always play something that's been updated maybe a few days ago. And what made you decide to go that route in development? Because I think you might be the only mod that does that, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, really?
Lots of other mods do like closed betas, as far as I'm aware. Not many people do a sort of open branch.
I guess greedily, it's because we can get it tested really, really quickly all the time.
Makes sense.
If it's playable all the time, then people can test it, right? I never really thought about it, to be honest. I just quite like the open aspect of development. Anbennar is quite freeform with contributing to it. It's quite open source, so it seemed like a natural thing to do.
Yeah.
More generally,
it's like an open source mod, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
So more generally, what is Anbennar for anybody who's listening that might not have heard anything about it?
So Anbennar is essentially a total conversion mod. It's a fantasy total conversion mod with EU4. And essentially it's kind of like a D&D-esque setting. And by that, I kind of mean, if you played General Dungeons and Dragons, if you played into Forgotten Realms, stuff like that, if you go into Anbennar, you kind of know what you're getting into, right? There's elves, blah, 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 etc. The weird thing about it is that we're essentially turning EU4 into this fantasy world, but we're keeping the same time frame as EU4. So, you might see a bunch of other fantasy mods out there that kind of turn it to, if it's a Warcraft mod, it's in Warcraft times. If it's a Forgotten Realms mod, it's in that time period. Whereas Anbennar is kind of, 1400s to 1800s. We're seeing how a fantasy world kind of interacts with those kind of themes and, things that are happening during that time period. So what does colonization look like in a fantasy setting? What does, revolutions or gunpowder look like in fantasy setting?
Or a reformation,
A reformation, yeah, exactly. So essentially we're just a fantasy version of EU4 in a made-up setting that I initially made up a few years ago, and nowadays it's kind of a huge collaborative thing that people in the Discord and the Reddit can contribute to the world and make more lore and make more content for the game.
So did you develop most of this lore yourself, or do you have like a team doing it?
So the original stuff was me. I was kind of into this, world building is kind of like a version of writing where you're kind of pulling a Tolkien or George R. Martin kind of perspective where you kind of care more about making the world in a consistent way, making histories and stuff. There's a cool subreddit if you guys have looked at r/world building.
Yeah, I'm in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember.
Yeah. I learned all my stuff from that. And essentially I kind of like the idea of making stuff up anyway.
I can tell because you have fairly realistic climates based on like latitude and ocean currents, which not a lot of people
Yeah.
Which is like that's like the r/world building starter pack is that
Exactly.
MS Paint tutorial about
definitely follow tutorials on that Reddit. So.
Yeah,
the rivers look natural with rain shadows.
Rivers don't split. Rivers don't split, man.
Exactly. You will get crucified on r/world building if you have rivers that split. So how long did you develop this world for the mod, or is it something you had in your head before that, or like how long have you been working on it?
It's a bit of a chicken and egg story, actually. So I made for the people who know the setting, it kind of started as this old idea called the Black Powder Rebellion, which was this basic concept where you have your big bad empire ruled by mages, and then gunpowder comes around, then people do a little cool revolution. It was inspired a lot by Dishonored, and I think I was playing Assassin's Creed Unity at the time, so you can see what it was. And Anben Cost is essentially kind of like Dunwall. It's like a massive city. So Dunwall is the city of Dishonored, if people listening don't know. And that was maybe in 2014 around. And I was going to make it for a Warcraft free map. And I was kind of working on it on and off. I was going to make it into a Vicky 2 mod. Because, Victoria 2, probably my favorite game. I keep saying this whenever Victoria 3 comes out, I'm totally going to make Anbennar mod in that.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Would it be a Victorian age too? Like, would you?
Yeah,
on the
steampunk.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was the original setting, so it would be cool to go back to.
But you're making a CK3 one right now, you said, right?
Yeah, maybe I'm stretching myself too much. If Victoria 3, like I'm gonna end up dying, honestly.
You just need more people on your mod team.
When's the Sengoku version coming in?
Yes. Oh man.
No, March of the Eagles version. When?
Yeah. You could do like a theater,
right.
Yeah, March of the Eagle. Yeah.
Go on.
For someone who has only played vanilla EU4, what would you say are the major things that they're going to notice that are different with Anbennar, other than the fact that there's elves and stuff?
Yeah, so I guess if you're looking to play something that's different from vanilla, Anbennar has a bunch of really unique things that our contributors and developers have made. So nowadays, people know about the dwarves. It's a very unique thing. So if people don't know, we're kind of taking the original mechanics in EU4 for Native Americans, where you can like wander around, right? But imagine that you're a adventuring party wandering around. Because why would you do a fantasy mod if you're not going to have adventurers?
Yeah.
So
everyone's got to meet in a tavern.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have two places in the world where you can essentially wander around parts of the world as an adventurer and kind of explore and make your own country. One of them is in Escan, which is kind of this stereotypical setup of good versus evil, humans versus orcs, where you're just adventurers settling an orcish frontier. And then we have the Dwarvar, which was mainly made by a developer, Herodas, who might be in this chat. But essentially, imagine we have the underground deep roads in Dragon Age. So we're simulating inside the mountain itself. So we have caverns, dwarven holes, and roads. Imagine you're an adventuring party exploring that and refounding the ancient dwarven holes of old and going into all sorts of hijinks and disasters and unique mechanics, digging really deep.
But never too deep, nor too greedily. Nothing ever happens.
As we've established on this show, it's always just better to go deeper. That's just 100% of the time.
Especially when Vikings are attacking, you just want to dig as deeply as possible.
Yeah.
Now,
Hello,
the adventures when you're playing the dwarves, it basically it feels like you're playing like foreign Oakenshield, right? Like that feels. You got the great feeling of you're a dwarvering adventuring part, and you're going to reclaim your birthright and your homeland, right?
So we just got raided by Mordred, and I think between that and between the people that came from the Anbennar Discord, I think this is the most consecutive viewers we've had. Maybe.
Yeah, it is.
So welcome and thank you for tuning in, everybody. So no pressure or anything, but this is our biggest episode ever.
Who is the lead dev, the father figure of the Anbennar mod, which I'm sure you all know, because I know Mordred has also been heavily into Anbennar.
I've been watching your streams, Mordred. I've been watching them when I've been like modding the mod itself, so it's been great to listen when you're playing it.
Oh yeah, modding mods is always a lot of fun. So what are some things that are sort of on the near horizon, or things you would like to do with Anbennar that you haven't?
Yeah, so on the near horizon, we're kind of working kind of in parallel. We're wanting to do a lot more content for Canor itself. So some of our devs are working on content for that. If you guys know, do we have a third religion in our schisms between Regent Court and Coronite? There's a rebellion religion, which is kind of using Catholic mechanics in a slightly different way. And that kind of will kind of finish off a kind of full playthrough from 1400s to 1800s. And our biggest part of the world that we're kind of looking into next is our Asia equivalent, which is Hellas. So if you kind of look right now, we kind of have our India subcontinent with the Raj and the command and stuff. We're filling that entire rest of the continent there, including the bits that are kind of where Mongolia and stuff is as well.
Yeah, I see the provinces. The provinces are all mapped out.
And there's another dwarven hold there, which is the most exciting part.
Yeah,
I like the dwarves. I'm not gonna lie.
I have not played dwarves yet, but everybody's telling me how great they are, so I should give them a try.
It can be quite steep to jump into, but certainly if you're really into playing something new, you should definitely go for it.
Yeah. Well, like my favorite Civ in Civilization 5 was Venice, just because they were super weird and they didn't play anything like all the other Civs. So, that's generally my kind of thing.
I will say, if you're jumping in to play with dwarves, don't luck up the disasters or anything. I think the first through is I think this mod really works well because it's kind of you kind of have a story and you get things thrown at you that you don't expect. Which is very novel in a mod. I think normally mods you kind of know how the progression's going, but when something hits you as a dwarf without revealing too many spoilers, it really throws you a curveball and keeps things interesting.
I think EU4 as a game has an issue where the snowball effect. Once you hit like the peak and you start snowballing, it's very difficult to stop that or give any kind of bump in the road without really making the player feel like, oh, you're just doing this to fuck me over, and people don't like losing development and all this kind of stuff. But what I will say is that the disasters that I've experienced both with the dwarves and playing as Aelnar, as the elves who go back home, the disasters, they appear at a point where you just start that snowball and then the disaster's there and it's like, no, wait, but there's more. And it doesn't feel like you're just being dicked over for the sake of it. It feels like natural, and it feels like, oh, these are happening for a very specific reason. And that's it's completely not arbitrary. So definitely, a big congratulations to whoever came up with the timing and the framing of those disasters, because they are absolutely spot on.
So both of those was made by the same developer, Hehadas, who really, really likes making disasters to kind of, because he absolutely does not like what you were talking about, where you kind of snowball. So lots of those mad ideas were all his. I was just there to kind of pull him back sometimes. There's like a meme. There's like a meme where Hehadas was talking about, well, this is not one of the memes, but the old implementation of the Dwarven holds. For reference, right now you kind of have hold levels that kind of go from 1 to maybe like 12 or something. Before, his initial idea was to make it the depth of the hold. So you would have like maybe like 50, 100 levels of the hold, which is absolutely bonkers. It's an amazing idea. And I was kind of like, okay, maybe we don't need to go that extreme. But all of this stuff was made by Hehadas. I would just kind of keep backing in. And a lot of the other missions were made by other contributors as well after it finished up the work for him. So
it's quite a decentralized development process, right?
Yeah. Maybe that's the nature of just how I manage things, or maybe I'm just a poor manager. No, I
mean, the results show for themselves. I mean, it's a fantastic mod. Clearly it's working very well, right?
Yeah, like what I found is like for Anbennar, at least we don't really have kind of contributor or developer applications like I've seen in other mods. I kind of wanted it to be as open as possible. If you're a big thing I tell people when they kind of say, hey, can I help out on the mod? The thing I return back to them is, okay, what do you want to work on? I'd rather you kind of find your little niche in the world or what you're passionate about and flesh that out. Mm-hmm. And it's a pain to manage because it's quite disorganized and everyone's just kind of running at all directions. But it really makes really good work when people are into what they're doing and do stuff that they're passionate about.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
certainly works. So, even if it's a bit mad and a bit hectic and a bit chaotic, I mean, clearly, like I said, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah,
it works. Really works. Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose that also causes certain things to be very, very fleshed out. I mean, I've been playing the dev build, and I've been playing the Vampire Nation, but I keep forgetting the name of
Korvuria.
Korvuria, that's it. Yes, and the tree for that is huge.
Yeah,
I don't think you get that sort of thing on a sort of centralized development. So that was basically the love child of one person.
Yes, exactly. We kind of worked a lot back and forth with it. Korvuria is very recent as well. And the Vampire Estates, we've had that for a long time. Also, work of Hehadas, who did the Dwarvar. We just kind of needed a lot of fixes and tweaks. But yeah, Korvuria is a crazy tree. I'm excited. I was kind of wanting to kind of push on it to release it in Halloween last year. Obviously, we didn't
happen.
Yeah.
So
very exciting.
A question, because you mentioned you're making a CK3 version of this, and I have to say this is actually the first time I've loaded up the EU4 because time, and I usually do CK3, not EU4. But do you have any idea when CK3 version? Like even just range of like a 6-month range or a year-long range? What do you feel most comfortable with?
3 comes out.
Ideally this year. To be fair, our CK3 developments kind of slowed down a bit because we've been focusing on the EU4, but I'd like it to be this year, at least something that's playable. I'm kind of getting jealous of all these amazing CK3 mods, God Herja and Way of Kings. They're doing so many cool things, and I'm kind of like, oh man, like I need to catch up.
Is it going to be set before like the Elven homeland exploded or whatever?
So it occupies the kind of similar time period to CK3. So in our story, we have this idea where the elves kind of hopped on ships. Their continent exploded, and they went off to the main continent, Canor, which is the thing with our Europe equivalent. And that was around year 1000. So we're kind of starting in 1022 after the War of the Sorcerer King, which is this kind of big bad evil war against, air quote, a version of Sauron or something similar.
Yeah.
So we're starting right after that, right before the Elvenization of the continent. So we get to see how that develops. Or maybe you really hate elves and don't want it to develop at all.
That kind of depends on who I'm playing.
Exactly. We'll see all the Silver families, Silmuna and stuff. We'll see them. You can play as the actual founders of these famous families and stuff.
They're kind of like the Italian immigrants going to New York and set up like gangs or something like that. You get like Elf and Al Capone. Yeah.
So for somebody who's listening who has not played this mod before, I'm curious what you would say is not necessarily like the easiest or even like the recommended start, but if somebody wants to jump in and have like the peak Anbennar experience, who should they play as?
Peak Anbennar experience. I'm a big fan of the adventurers in Escan. It's not too crazy. You can wander around as adventurers, which is unique enough, but you're not going to go into the deep end with Warbar. You're going to be at the heart of a lot of the main events in the world. So I'd recommend adventurers.
Yeah.
Which adventurer is your favorite?
Ooh. I don't have a favorite. Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like saying, who's your favorite child?
Who's my favorite child? I do like the Sword Covenant.
With the best flag, right? Yeah, that's
exactly.
I was literally about to say the one with the best flag is Sword Covenant.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The Sword Covenant, amazing flag. Maybe because I made it. Really cool flag. I mentioned this in the Discord Q&A we had last week. But the original thought of Anbennar was that, you know how in Star Wars you had Darth Revan, where he's this Jedi guy, he disappears somewhere and then he comes back and takes over the Republic. I've always had this story for a long time where someone from Ascan becomes a Witch King and then takes over Anbennar. And I'm kind of writing a book around that as well. And I always imagined that the Order of Dracia and the Sword Covenants are the Jedi of this setting. And my original version was that they came from the Sword Covenant. They don't anymore, but that was the original version. So Darth Revan goes away, comes back and takes over the Republic. That was my story for a Witch King coming back and taking over the Empire of Anbennar. So Darth kind of intimidating for that, attacking Anbennar as a Witch King. So you can do that in the public forum.
Yeah, no, because I really do like the Witch King mechanics. I don't know if anyone else has had the
I tried, but my guy keeps dying because I'm so look. As soon as you get a ruler who has a little bit of an inkling for magic, the temptation to making it into this god tier bloody general is so strong. I can't help it. It's like, I'll just take my 9 shot and 12 fire and murder everybody. Oh, but he's dead.
I think it's a you problem.
It is, but god damn it.
It's such a good risk reward though. And
yeah.
This was, I mean, in Earth's timeline, this was the era when people finally started going, maybe it's not the best idea to put the head of state at the front of the battle. Just saying. Yeah. So anyway, where if people are interested, I know you guys have a Discord where for the community and stuff. How can they find that?
So There's a Discord link somewhere, but you can find the link. We have a subreddit, which is r/Anbennar. You can also find us on the Steam workshop page, and there's links to the Discord where all the development and discussion happens on both of those sources as well.
Yeah, it's climbing quite high up on the thing. I would say it's been quite a boost in popularity quite recently, right? Because it's been in development, I think. I remember first seeing it maybe more than a year ago now, easily, right?
Yeah, I've been aware of it for a long time, but I didn't actually play it until probably like a month ago. So,
Rumba played it, right? And he doubled our subscribers since he played. So I don't even know how much subscribers we have. I can have a quick look. But he doubled it, like from the exposure he gave. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like 25K before he played, and now we're at like 42 subscribers.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. I'm really looking forward to diving more into it. I haven't made it more 50 years on any given run because I keep getting like ADD and like, oh, I want to try out Wood Elves now. Okay, but then I want to try out like the HRE looking place and like I'm looking forward to actually like playing longer run all the way through.
I've had that problem, like especially on my dev build. It's added some of my favorite things, like fancy China. They've added fantastic. There's the goblins. I don't know if you've seen. Is it called the rail runners? That goblin is getting a new tree.
Rail skulkers,
that's it. Yeah,
cool.
They seem like a lot of fun. Just playing a sort of like gobbo horde, playing the sort of antagonist of the mountains. It's a lot.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. You can check out their Discord, their subreddit if you want to know more. Yeah. Rosebud approved too.
Yes. He's like
the most important thing. Speaking of fantasy China, we do have one other piece of news today. And I think for those who haven't seen it, we should probably just play that trailer because, man, it is a really, really, really good trailer.
Yes.
I think it's one of the best ones they've ever done. Yeah.
And here we go, playing the trailer so we can talk about some Total War.
Oh, you missed it anyway. Cafe is on the screen, which is very interesting.
Yeah, there was a Q&A as well that confirmed that Cathay is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the big surprise is that Cathay is going to be a full playable faction at launch, which I certainly wasn't expecting. No. I don't think a lot of people were expecting. In fact, there are like compilations now of everybody on the Total War subreddit who has said they will never do Cathay. There's a guy who said he was going to eat a sock who is saying that he will uphold his oath and actually eat a sock. So we'll see if that comes through. No bamboozle. Total War Warhammer 3. Kislev is going to be playable. All 4 of the Chaos gods are going to get their own faction. It's not just one faction with 4 variations. It's 4 completely different factions. So the reason Cathay was a big deal is because they barely existed in the Warhammer lore up until now. So they're basically being created from the ground up. So
in conjunction with Games Workshop, it has to be said. Like, it's not just GA being like, oh yeah, we're just going to invent this thing. Like, we know that you've got a name and you've got a vague idea of what it is, but no, they're actually like working together. It's like, okay, let's make these factions.
Yeah, they're making models, I believe, right? Is that?
Well, they're rebooting the old world tabletop game line, and we already know Kislev is going to get an army book for that reboot, and it seems like Cathay probably will. I don't think they've confirmed
I would imagine
that,
so.
But if they're going to all this trouble,
shockingly good marketing from Games Workshop. Uncharacteristically good marketing, because I don't know if you remember when Warhammer Total War launched, they decided to coincide that with the complete destruction of Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah,
by the way, still mad.
Just flushing money right down the toilet, like just pulling that lever and just watching all the money go swirling.
We don't talk about the end times here. This is an end times free podcast.
Hey, we're introduced to it through Total War. Is like, no, we don't need them. So
they're adding Sigmarines to Warhammer Total War 4?
I swear.
No.
I will burn CA to the ground. And take them Sigmarines and shove them in the sun don't shine. You're in your buddy, in your realm of friggin' Sigmarines.
Let me see if I can pull up. I have some other. I did an interview that I think is going up on IGN tomorrow. So yeah, Demons are 4 separate factions because Kislev is a full faction at launch. Cathay is a full faction launch. They decided to focus on those two because you needed some human protagonists to balance out the chaos stuff. They weren't willing to talk about chaos dwarves. They were not willing to talk about ogres. But it does say on the store page that if you pre-order, you can free race pack. Like ogres. I mean, I can't think what else it would be.
Yeah, it's fine to be. You
have to
cannot have chaos dwarves.
Yeah,
it exists in the area where chaos dwarves are incredibly prominent, right? So,
right.
And to get from the Chaos Waste to Kislev, obviously you can just go straight there. But to then go to Cathay, unless you're going to have this like N-shaped map where there's a big blank area in the middle where you're not allowed to go, like the ogres live there.
There's sort of 3 theories of how I think they could handle this. They could do it the way that they did with the Tomb Kings when Warhammer 2 came out, where they were just replaced by vampires until the Tomb Kings patch. I think that would be the worst way of doing it. They could do it like Bretonia in when Warhammer 1, originally they were not a playable faction, but they were an NPC faction on the map, and they had some unique units. I think that's probably what they're going to do with ogres and chaos dwarves. That's my theory. The other thing they could do is that they could just have that entire part of the map be blasted to shit by chaos, and it's just demons everywhere. And then when they'll undestroy it when they add those other factions. So that's kind of those are the 3 ways I could see it going. Let me see. What else do we know so far? There will be a standalone campaign and then also a grand campaign probably coming after launch that will be bigger than Mortal Empires. The Realms of Chaos will be a, quote, significant portion of the campaign, but they weren't able to confirm if it's like a different map or if it's going to be like grafted onto the northern part of the map, or they wouldn't tell me how it would work. They just said Realms of Chaos will be campaign. No plans currently for Ind, Nippon, or pushing the map out further than Cathay.
No.
And yeah,
I wouldn't have thought they would do that.
Yeah,
It's a short DLC though.
Much bigger game than Warhammer 1 and 2. That's why it took so much longer. And they were allowed to have a bigger budget for this one because of how well the first 2 games did. So
I mean, the Total War Warhammer has been such a goldmine for them.
yeah.
It's so good. Like it's sold so well.
It's really, really good. Yeah.
And it's got more legs, I feel, than the other games. Like, there's more people playing Total War Warhammer right now than there are people playing 3 Kingdoms.
Yeah.
And 3 Kingdoms came out later. Oh, and fucking forgot about Troy entirely. Which, I mean, let's not be around the bush. It's pretty easy to forget about Troy.
It was an okay game, but it was an okay game, but I haven't played it like almost since the month it came out. So
yeah, no, same. It doesn't help that it's only on a launcher that I only never open. If it was on Steam, I'd probably have.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's still an Epic exclusive. I forgot about that.
Maybe in a year, then I'll stop playing it. But until then,
We're just pointing out that the new DLC has basically a Greek dwarf, which Ajax the Great he is dwarf-like in his temperament and fighting style, although he is much larger than I would say. Yeah.
Is there anything you're looking forward to specifically, Jay?
As a Warhammer, I'm going to say something controversial here. I think hard time in a sense that Fae and all those lands are the kind of weakest or least popular parts of the Warhammer franchise. Obviously, everyone knows about the Empire and people like elves, so they had that for the first 2 games. I'm curious to see the reception for this part of the world.
Yeah, but people do like chaos, but
and Kislev has become kind of a fan favorite too. So
I assume that's why they focused the trailer on those 2, because those are the ones that you know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It'll be interesting because we don't know what their units are going to look like. We don't know what their army composition is going to look like. There's a lot of speculation for Cathay, but it's like there's almost nothing to go on as far as previous materials. So.
Well, I think a lot of these. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, there was a Russian data miner that managed to get lots of data, and this is quite in line with what was predicted. 4 years ago, I wouldn't say.
I think it's
that was bigger on that was the Tomb Kings being. It was originally going to be a DLC, and it was originally going to be in the release, and then it turned into DLC or something along those lines. It was something with Tomb Kings that ended up being out of order. But everything else that data mine has shown up has been spot on, like the entire way through.
Yeah, I think
Vampire Coast also was not part of the original.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They decided to do that at some point later down the line, but
So normally there's a curveball like that, which is what I was going to lead on to, like Vampire Coast, right? What do you reckon would be the curveball for this? I'm reckoning Nekahara, get the vampires, the sexy vampires, Warhammer lore,
Do they
Larmians as well?
Larmians, yeah.
Nope, there are no. They don't sparkle. Vampires don't fucking sparkle.
I think that the factions, we basically know at this point that Chaos Dwarves and Ogres are coming eventually, because they said during the development of Warhammer 1 that they wanted to give all of the 7th and 8th edition army books a playable faction. So that's a question of when, not if. I would say, Araby might be interesting if they still wanted to flesh that out. Dogs of War like Estalia and Tilia would be interesting.
The Chaos Dwarves are already in. They've got 1 unit. They've got the Hell. They've got 2. They've got the special Hell Cannon as well.
So stop complaining. Chaos Dwarves are already in the game. They're not going to do anything else with Chaos Dwarves.
What I just find absolutely incredible, though, is that modders have been able to take that one model and create an entire faction of Chaos Dwarves based entirely on that aesthetic, which I think is just phenomenal. Like, the modding teams that work on the Total War franchise they're so good at what they do. Especially when there is a kind of, because of the way that Total Warhammer has got like the license from Games Workshop, the modding side of it is a lot more restricted than it is in like EU4 or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But still, the amount that people are able to do is just incredible.
Right.
Do you have a favorite mod?
Oh yeah, Steelfaith Overhaul.
Yeah. SFO is great.
Leagues.
Yeah. As far as just like if you want to change up the basics of how the game works, that's probably the best out there. So,
though I have recently been very interested in the mod that adds a population system to the game.
Surprised by that. Please raise your hand in chat if you're surprised by Lambert liking prompts being added to any game.
So off brand for me, I was just putting myself out there. It's like, I'll try that. Yeah, no, I'm very intrigued by that one. I would like to give that a try soon. I kind of really want it to be like rolled into SFO as well. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, that is all the news that we have for this week. Jay, if you're not like need to get out right away, I know Loris was saying maybe we could take some Anbennar questions from chat. Wrap up. Okay, yeah. So, chat, if you have any questions about the mod or about mod development in general, feel free to throw them in the chat.
Total War Anbennar when?
I was thinking about this the other day. I was playing Mount&blade 2, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to make a mod here.
Oh, maybe modders could somehow figure out a way to be that magical bridge between Mount&blade, Total War, and Paradox that we have all dreamed about for so many years.
Question from Trickstick here. Any ideas for how migration is going to be impacted in the next update?
I have no ideas. It's probably going to throw a giant spanner in the works for us, to be honest.
And we have a question from Valorgain.
Right.
When are you releasing a setting book for D&D 5e and Pathfinder 2e?
I would love to do all of this stuff for Anbennar in the future, honestly. We had a few people play D&D campaigns using Anbennar as a setting already, so
that's awesome.
That would be great. Yeah, we could use another good like Age of Discovery style high fantasy setting, because you've got a lot of like steampunk, and then you've got medieval. You don't really have anything that exists in between those two.
Yeah.
Like Pillars of Eternity, but didn't they release an PG source book at some point? But not for like any of the big game systems. Yeah.
We have another best way to make more content come out faster.
Get Rose to do it. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I was gonna say that worked for YouTube.
Well, except I've fallen behind. I have 2 weeks I need to get done, but I blame this little guy and the foot and a half of snow.
Like 5 months. Yeah, I fell behind for 5 months, so 2 weeks is not that bad.
So, what's your favorite new feature in the new update?
Well, no, hold on. We'll answer my question first. Best way of making combat content come out.
Just pray to whatever gods you want.
Well, I guess it's open
great
source,
duking,
right?
clearly.
So you could get involved, right? Anyone can get involved.
If you're interested in helping out, or if you have some cool ideas, hop onto the Discord. There's a link on the Steam Workshop in the Reddit subreddit r/Anbennar.
I'm going to show up some Wood Elf suggestions. I feel like Wood Elves a lot.
Yeah. Somebody's good at unit modeling. Get some unit models.
Yeah.
I see somebody on Reddit came up with some orc models.
They're on the Discord. We're working with them to make
nice
models in all orc colors.
Like, oh yeah, I have made these models. I was like, okay, come on then, come over here, put them there. That's great, thank you. Now do more.
We've got
that would make it for me.
We've got a question from Dionysia. How much thoughts go into the balance of Anbennar? Because it seems like the strategy is that everyone is overpowered, and they
well, personally, to me, hot take, I don't really care that much. My job in the project right now is to kind of cover the theme and vision and make sure things are consistent. There's more than enough people conserving balance. So what we usually do is get something out that is okay, or at least we're all happy with, and then play test it. And people are going to come and say this is overpowered, and then we're going to read it and go, okay, fine, it is overpowered. Let's
it makes sense. I suppose you can only really...
No, you can't. You can't really... I'm going to assume what you can say is you can't really balance it.
Can't really balance it. Yeah, exactly. No. Well, I suppose can't really balance it until there's been a lot of playtesting done anyway.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
We have Tellum mission tree when?
Never.
What is Tellum? We've seen that a lot.
It's just a meme country for us, so.
Yeah, the whole chat at the very beginning was just like Tellum. Yeah, here it starts happening again.
It's kind of like
it is a country. Hang on,
it is a country. I've had it pulled up on stream several times. Oh, now chat's full of it again.
It's a meme because it's a play on words that me and my girlfriend had, where she was like, "Go tell him something." And we were like, "Oh, tell him. That's funny. Let's bring beat this dead horse to the ground." So.
Is that why the flag is a notification bell?
No, it's not. That's funny, but no, that's not funny.
There is a Shrek country. I did notice.
There is a Shrek country. We're working on ogres.
We have a couple people asking, is the mission world map updated to the Steam version?
I don't know. That would have to be up to the person who made that.
And then which areas or nations do you consider to be the most in need of more help right now?
I think,
Hallis.
Obviously Hallis, because that's the thing we're kind of working on next. We have a lot of ideas for Sarhal, which is our kind of Africa equivalent, which is what we're working on next as well. So Hallis and Sarhal.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I think when you do include the East, I think there does need to be I guess, equivalent to the gateway of the East.
Yes, yeah.
Trade going around the Horn of Africa, Fantasy Africa, through Fantasy Malaysia. And any plans for a Fantasy Suez Canal at all?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. That's going to be a chunky canal.
There is a bit in Sarhad called the Kedwali Coast, which is specifically built to be kind of a Suez, Indonesia kind of vibe.
Rosewood's trying to eat a gaming mouse right now.
You do have like the dwarven Suez where you have to like mine through the tunnel to reconnect it too, which is probably good.
There you go. Here's a Jay. Who is your personal favorite country to play in the mod?
I'm gonna say Westham to Demiria because I'm a Demiria fanboy.
And then here's a deeper question. What's the general timeline for implementing things? Like, what's going to come out first? What is put on the back burner?
Yeah, we should really have a public timeline, so I might work on that after this, but it's going to be an intermediate update with lots of the quality of life stuff and Anor content. And then after that, we're going to release the Hallis stuff. So those are the three immediate. And yeah, what Creek said in the chat, Canor stuff, Hallis, then Sarhal, then Insia, which is that big continent east.
Awesome. All right.
We had a question a fair while back.
Oh, go for it.
I was kind of related. Your favorite new feature in the new update?
Favorite new feature? It's gonna have to be vampires or rebellion. One of those two.
A man of taste. A man of very good taste.
Amazing.
I really want to check out the vampire stuff once it's once it's play tested and everything.
It's very good in its current state. It's worth it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's going to be about all of our time for today. But before we get out of here, Jay, where can people find the mod? And do you have any like social media or anything you want to plug?
So you can find the mod on Steam Workshop if you just search Anbennar. We have a subreddit r/Anbennar, and there's links to the Discord if you want to get involved, ask questions. And if you want to fulfill my ego a bit, you can follow me on Twitter at Jayhant, Jayhant. We also have an Anbennar Twitter, which is Anbennar.
Excellent. Rose, what have you been up to lately, and where can people find you?
Currently getting buried in snow here in New York. We got about 1.5 feet within 24 hours on Monday. But gaming wise, I've got a CK3 video coming out sometime in the next few days, as well as a more CK3, and then I should be streaming tomorrow night. I don't know what I'm streaming yet, but I'm streaming something. Maybe I'll check out Anbennar and actually play some of it.
Yeah. No, I'm like even more excited to play more now. Lambert, what about you? Where can people find you? What have you been doing?
Lambert had to go AFK very briefly.
Oh, okay. Then Loris. I meant to say Loris, yeah.
It's the same person.
Yeah.
The two token Brits. I've been working on a lot of sketches for comics. There'll be a comic tomorrow, hopefully, if I can get it all sorted. I was going to release it today, but I spent all day today just rewatching the trailer for Warhammer over and over again. Ogling at Nurgle's beautiful, absolutely disgusting mouth. But my goodness, it's foul. They did such a good job of just maggoty mouth going on. It makes me feel very good about my very poor dental British hygiene.
Yeah. He could maybe use a lozenge.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two. Yeah.
His teeth are in good shape. For a person whose mouth is filled with maggots, he's got some nice, there's no rot going on, is there?
Right. They're not exactly straight, but they're sturdy. Yeah.
They haven't invented braces.
No. Well, assuming Lambert's not back yet, we'll post this stuff in chat. But I am Lore Sworn Order on Twitch and YouTube, and I actually have a date for when I'm going to be resuming my normal streaming schedule, and that is going to be February 14th, which is a Sunday. We'll be getting back into the swing of it. I just moved, so it's not going to happen this Sunday, but next Sunday we'll be
moving.
We'll be back in our regular schedule. Yeah, exactly. So look forward to that. We'll be finishing our Valhalla playthrough and then doing definitely some grand strategy stuff. I have CK3 stuff planned. I might end up doing some Anbennar too, because one of these days you might just see me go live with it because I just felt like doing it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and hey. Hey, Deos in chat is saying, vote for Anbennar in the next Paradox Mod Awards.
Yeah. Well, by the way, this is the person who did the Dwarf Bar and all those amazing mechanics.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful. That's an amazing development.
Good to have you here, yeah.
Oh, Lambert's back.
Oh, Lambert, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
I've been playing a lot of Anbennar. And
surprising.
And on YouTube. Lord Lambert there. I've been playing a lot of Anbennar recently. And a bit of CK3 and that's pretty much it. Soon enough, I'll be playing a lot more Imperator as soon as I get hands on the game. If you're interested in watching that, then come follow me. It's great.
All right. As always, you can follow the podcast. You can watch Rosebud try to continue to eat a mouse. We're NoCB cast on Twitch, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all kinds of places.
All your favorite podcast providers.
Where podcasts exist, we probably exist there too. We will see you back here next week for more grand strategy news.
All right.
And thanks to Jay for coming by.
Get my mouse
love
back.
to have you back on sometime.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure having you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.